Changing the topic.
Shut up
and sit down.
Good dog!
My BC clap, my BC clap, my BC clap. My BC clap, my BC clap, my BC clap. My BC clap, my BC clap, my BC clap. Have you seen me yet in my BC clap? Get your tools out, you can come and tweak these sets. I got a vicious cycle, I'm riding it right though. The places that I go, the kids go psycho. Grips in my hands, rolled under my feet. One day we'll be taking over the streets. The ramps get brought out, the jumps are up. You get air, pump it up. I'm a fella who can settle for a special grilling pedals to the metal while the feeder is stiletto. Then a hello. Let's go for a ride, you and I don't mind if you're on a shiny ship or if it's ghetto, take either. I've ridden whips, ridden beaters, cruisers, all terrains and two-seaters. Used to do it top speed, nobody can touch me. Now I'm on a chill tip, riding on my Dutchie.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Here is another Chinese proverb for you. A crisis is an opportunity riding in dangerous wind. If life is crazy upside down for you, make sure you always look for that opportunity. It's there somewhere.
Hello, it's just me and my bellow, rocking a side pony and stilettos. Let's go. We ride these streets, working our glutes, being urban athletes. Like honky, honky, beep, 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 beep. Get on the bike and out there.
Someone stole my bike.
You suck!
I'm your trapped bike stealer.
Gold frame, pedals to match. This beast is thinner than a model and the wheels don't detach. So saddle up, got a seat that's made of leather and velvet. Purple flames painted on the side. I see you in hell, man.
When I drink Bang Energy, I feel like I can see other people's words.
Because you're reading a book!
Oh.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance frickin' Hepler.
Woo!
Welcome to day 5.
Tour talk.
Tour talk.
Matt's gone playing family stuff at water parks, and
He's in Idaho partying it up with his family.
Evan's fixing broken people.
Evan has a job.
Jobby job. What? So stepping in, good friend to the podcast and good friend to all of us here, Mr. Scott Troutman. How you doing, Scott?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome back, sir.
Terrible.
I was the 8th guy you called.
We had to go,
No,
we had
that's
to go
not
pretty
true.
far down the list before we landed on Scott Troutman.
Oh,
Actually, guy number one.
You were the only person we asked.
I knew
Scott.
it.
Oh, how you boys enjoying the tour?
Dude, it has been fun to watch.
It's been a blast.
It has been fun to watch. We are through day 5. We are recording this on, what day is it?
Wednesday. Yeah,
Wednesday
Wednesday.
morning, July 5th. It's the morning. We've already watched day 5, all of us.
Stage 5. Yep.
And so that's where we're at the moment.
So this week the podcast isn't going to be your normal forecast, your normal podcast. It's not going to be the normal format. That's the
Foreskin?
word I would. Ooh, come on now.
Sorry.
This is a kiddie show.
forgot.
Kiddie tour talk. No, I was kidding. So we're not going to do the normal podcast. We're going to talk about all things the tour. So don't tune out because we will have some funny little anecdotes, little quips, some things that maybe will get you excited to watch that if you are not into the Le Tour de France.
All right.
But got some questions for you guys, and I'm sure you guys got some things that you want to talk about as well. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who jumped in our fantasy league. I think this is the biggest fantasy league that we've had to date. Not huge by any means at all, but I think there's 18 people in there. There's one person, I don't know who it is. We're still trying to figure out who said person is that joined the league that all of a sudden showed up on stage 4 and did really well, got the best points for the day.
We don't know where he came
but
from.
They also somehow, some way managed to get like 3,000 points and put themselves in first place. So
There are 18 people
in the league.
2 forgot to actually pick their teams or
Correct.
didn't pick complete teams before it started.
Yep.
So there's 16
active
people in there at the moment. And
having
Jake
fun
is
with that.
sitting in second place at the
Well,
moment.
I think based on how this is going to work, we've actually already talked to the league because the person that's in first place right now, because they joined the league late, somehow got points for the first 3 stages that they weren't a part of our league. So either those points are going to get nullified or they might just be yanked from the league altogether. I don't know how they're going to handle that. We asked them just to remove the points for the first 3 days, but that's neither here nor there.
You kind of sound like a sore loser.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
We just got to figure out what SMS
We don't know.
stands for.
We don't know who that is.
Some man so far ahead.
Whoever you are, maybe you can come out and let us know if we know you or if you're a friend of the podcast. But
I'm in 4th at the moment. Jake's in 2nd. Where are you sitting, Scott?
I am right there at 15th. but I'm ahead of Matt. So
You're ahead of Matt.
We're just-
who's in
How are
16th.
our fellow triathlete friends from the podcast doing there, Mr. Hepler?
Evan is 12th, and Matt is 16th. So they're sucking.
Well done, boys.
They're sucking at the moment.
they're like, when's the swimming part?
It's funny because Evan was standing on the whole like Yates. It's going to be a Yates year. The Yates are going to win everything, the tour, and he's calling his shot. And the first race comes out, and the first stage comes out, and Adam Yates comes out on top, and his brother comes in second, and he was chest pounding a little bit, like talking a little bit of smack.
He immediately texted our group chat like, "I
Told you.
so."
Told you so. How's his fantasy team doing again?
He's sucking. He's in 12th.
sucking. Okay.
Got 578.
and
Jake's
then-
got 40,000.
How are the Yates boys doing as of today on stage 5? How are they in? How are they ranking in GC? Do we have that up?
I do. Let's see. Adam Yates is in 5th at the moment. He lost the yellow jersey today. He is a minute 34 back. And Simon Yates, his twin brother, is Adam Yates is a minute 14 back. Adam Yates, holy Yates. I can't get
They
it
look
straight.
so much alike.
One is a minute 14 back.
Adam.
One is a minute 40 back.
Simon.
Yeah. So they're in 5th and 7th at the moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a perpetual downhill slide from here.
Probably.
I don't know. Not talking any smack, Evan, but just saying, just pointing out the facts, right? Them's the facts, Jack. Cool. Well, so far it's been a pretty exciting tour to talk or to watch, and I want to talk about the first, I guess, 5 stages since those are all done and in the books. What's stood out to you so far, Lance? And then same question to you, Scott. What stood out to you guys?
The biggest thing that I saw was UAE doing an enormous amount of work here in the first 5 days.
Yeah.
Cool that Adam Yates got the yellow jersey. That's fantastic. But now all of a sudden their team has to defend if they're not going to kind of give it up.
And that's a lot of work.
And that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so it can kind of wear your guys out. It didn't seem like a real solid 3-week tactic. It seemed like a 1-week tactic, not a 3-week tactic for them to kind of drill it.
And that doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. Why you would want to go do that much work just to protect? I mean, you still are going to be at the front. You're still going to be doing a lot of work because you want to keep your GC guys in contention and you want to stay out of all of the riffraff, crashy stuff that likes to happen at the back of the peloton. So you're still going to be up there doing a fair amount of work, but it seems like they were doing more work than they should have.
So the question is, did all that work actually come back to bite them today?
Correct.
On stage 5,
Yep.
the first stage in the Pyrenees. And my guess is yes.
Yeah,
it
a little
did.
bit.
Yep.
So interestingly enough, today, Wout van Aert got into the break, which at first you thought, what is he doing?
They look good.
He did look good. And he's had a rough go already.
Yeah.
Wout's had a rough go. So
a little cranky, a little,
and I,
misfortunes.
Granted, he's had a couple of close seconds, and So Wout gets in the break, and I'm thinking, what is he doing? I mean, why really is he up here? But what did it do? It forced UAE to chase.
Yeah. But why do they care? Wout's not going to be their GC favorite. I mean, he might take the yellow jersey, but is it like an unwritten rule somewhere that you must defend? You must keep the yellow jersey for the entire race from here
it
on
is
out.
not.
So why? Why chase?
Probably because Jai Hindley, who was also up the road. He was not with
Correct.
the peloton. Jai Hindley was in a second group behind Wout up the road. And so
fear is that
Jai
Jai
is a threat.
Exactly. So the fear is that Jai's going to ride a wheel and he's going to get a little e-ticket ride to the top of the mountain and put in a substantial amount of time. So it was Wout doing what Wout does to basically bait another team or to pull somebody else along that's going to screw with the other team. So those are some pretty deep race tactics.
It is.
Which is fantastic.
And what happened? It friggin' worked.
Yep.
Yeah.
It worked. So UAE has to do all this work to try to pull this back. They don't quite pull it back, but UAE kind of spins up their team. And then what happens? Jonas Vingegaard still has Sepp Kuss.
Yep.
And Tade is hanging on. He's lost all his teammates at that point. and Sepp kind of drills it and launches Vingegaard, and Tade can't hang with him and loses a minute.
Loses a minute.
There
it goes.
Yeah. I'm not going to call it and say the tour's over for Tade or for Team UAE. I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit before the podcast. 3 years ago, whatever the first year was that Tade won the tour. He had a mechanical issue, and it was pretty early in the race, and he was something like 3.5 minutes back, and that dude just started getting stronger every day, started chipping away more and more every single day, and I think that UAE is going to hopefully sit down and take a solid look at this and say, all right, we're not out of this thing yet, but we need to be a little bit more smart about it, and we know that Tade's got the capacity to get stronger as the tour goes on. Is he in the form that we thought he was going to be in? Is he in his normal form coming off of that wrist injury? Probably not, but he's not like he's so far removed and so like out of, fitness that he's not going to be able to come back. I think that we're going to see him chip away. And there's the old adage, like when you don't do well in the Pyrenees, you do well in the Alps.
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that he's going to chip away, but there's some pretty strong teams that are almost outplaying them. So I don't know.
There's a lot of mountain stages in this tour. There's a lot of mountains to deal with. So, dude, anything can happen any day. Here, day 5, Tade loses a minute. Tomorrow, he could gain 2.
Mm-hmm. And some of those, they race into shape, too. Because, Tade's a little bit of a question mark with the broken wrist. He missed a couple little small tours. He didn't do the tour of his own tour.
Yeah.
Slovenia.
Yep.
So of course he's
excited. He didn't do any racing.
He's ready to go.
Yeah,
and after
I'm sure
his
he's fit,
crash.
but is it, there's a question mark there.
And he mixed it up in a couple sprints as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the other stages, so
He does that.
he's got legs, man. So I don't think it's over for Tade.
Yeah.
No.
There's long game tactics going on with all of the big teams involved. I hope that UA's tactics are going to change because I don't think what they're doing is going to necessarily work. But who knows if what they're doing right now is not something that's a part of their grand scheme of things. It's like, they allowed Yates to go off and get the yellow jersey. I mean, was that a planned thing? And kind of maybe they can start to say, hey, we've got 2 guys. Anybody want to go do rope-a-dope again? Let's do that. We've got myself, Tade, and we've got, Yates that can jump in there and do that. Is that a game plan? I don't know.
Can you imagine being a sports director? It's like, okay, today we're going to do this and this and this. And then like, well, that didn't work.
Right.
Today we're going to do, I don't know.
It's extremely hard.
Yeah, you look like a hero or an idiot, kind of.
Idiot.
It's like, you're just like everybody else, nobody, there's one winner.
Yeah.
Team winner. Technically, there's more than one winner.
There's got to be some
like,
algorithm
wow,
that they're
tough
using
job.
too, that they can input data and it's going to compute like maybe how you should handle that particular day's stage. And
Ask ChatGPT. How should I race stage 6?
Oh, well, it's going to be fun to watch. So that was a good thing. Scott, is there anything so far in the first 5 stages that has come to be something that you find very interesting or incredible that's happened this far?
Well, the 2 brothers going at it.
Yeah.
For the yellow and the stage win. Could you imagine
Come on, that was
Twin
brilliant.
brothers.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
You could make a movie about that right now. It was just incredible.
Can you imagine being mom and dad there? And like they were interviewing
talked to him.
Yeah, I know. They're interviewing him on the side of the road and she was like trying to watch the race radio or the live feed to see who was where, when, why, and how. And she couldn't tell certain people, but I don't know, when she finally got the thing, she was like over the moon and dad was pretty excited too. But that was pretty neat to watch.
Great.
Do you think that Adam Yates has any chance of landing on the podium? Or do you think that there's any chance that he beats Tade?
No, I think that once he loses the yellow jersey, which he did today, that his role will shift to complete support.
Yeah. He's, a minute and 34 back of Hindley right now from Bora. And he's just, 6 seconds ahead of Tade?
Yes,
Pogacar?
correct.
Mm-hmm. That's going to change for sure. I mean, it has to. I mean,
I would guess he would go for a stage later.
Yeah, maybe. That would make sense.
Say, if you feel good, just go. But
gotcha.
He's going to be a helper.
Okay,
Good helper.
Let's move on to talk about the 2 back-to-back sprint stages that we had. Whew. That was spicy.
It was spicy.
And yesterday, stage 4, my gosh, I was watching the pre-race stuff and they were going through the full route. And I'm like, ooh, they're going to end on a Formula F1 racetrack. I'm like, that could be pretty cool. And I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, we kind of do something like that out at PR, but I think this one had like some tighter turns. It was a little bit more technical,
Many more turns.
But I'm like, this is still going to be interesting because like they're not going to just be able to lock in. But I'm like, we'll just see what happens. That was utter chaos going into that thing. I mean, the speeds were like breakneck. The teams were not like organized, and people were kind of all over the place. You had people looking for teammates and people being in a position that you're like, you shouldn't be there. And
the racetracks make me nervous.
They do.
Because we've raced at PIRs, which is our local racetrack in Portland.
Sure.
It's covered in rubber.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's not concrete. I mean, it's not bare pavement. It's especially that tight corner. Cars probably been sliding around that for years.
Probably.
Yep.
Who knows what's on that surface?
They do sweep and blow. Actually, they sweep and blow the entire route like an hour before the racers come through. So there's like sweepers and blowers that go through trying to keep things clean for the racers. So they swept and blow, but it still could be slick in corners.
I like those roads in the middle of nowhere with perfect blacktop. It's like, they won't do that for us, but they'll do it for the race route.
So we get into that race yesterday, and I was like sitting on the edge of the couch, like, oh my gosh, my heart rate's elevated, and I'm watching all this stuff, and you just see like shrapnel, and I don't like the first crash that went down. I don't even remember who it was. Crash, and I'm like, was that like a water bottle that exploded? Was that tubeless sealant that vaporized everywhere? Was it both? I'm like, that is just. That's carnage. And then like they get like another couple hundred meters into it and another crash, and they get another 100 meters, another crash. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are dropping like flies in this thing. And man, that was just chaotic. And I wonder, is that something that they're just not, are they not crit racers? They're just more of these road robots that just can pump out watts and they don't know how to bike handle, or they're.
I don't think that's it. I think that many corners, many tight corners kept it very difficult, because you can gain positions or lose positions by how well you corner, and not everybody on your team is going to corner the same. And if they haven't practiced that, you're right. So these aren't crit team lead outs. Legion could have probably dominated that.
True.
But they aren't crit team lead outs. These are Tour de France team leader sprint, lead outs. And so I think that's why it made it so messy. But wheels cross, people go down.
Split second decisions.
Yes.
And that
right or wrong.
Last straightaway wasn't like 1,000 meters or something like that?
No, it was 700 meters.
It was still a good chunk. And there were still crashes on that too, because guys sitting up and looking over the shoulders and drifting into other people, and guys' bikes breaking in half and people getting tore up from the floor up. I mean, but
how many times have we see the lead out guy? He's done.
Peels off.
Where do you peel off? Do you go left? Do you go right?
That was the last crash. That was the last crash that happened. Was it the Bahrain Victorious?
I think so.
Guy?
It was
he
red.
sat up and he just drifted to the wall, but he didn't look towards the wall. He looked the other way to watch his sprinter, and he clipped somebody and went down. Yeah.
Well, should you just hold your line, make them go around you, or should you peel off?
You peel off like 2 bike lengths and then
going
hold your line.
45 miles an hour.
Yeah, you can't help that you drift a little bit, especially if you're not watching straight ahead.
Yeah. So that was an interesting finish. And then the day before that, yesterday we had Jasper Philipsen that ended up winning that. Again, just narrowly beat out Caleb Ewing, which was a pretty cool little finish. I wasn't expecting to see the Pocket Rocket come up and get in that position, but good on him. It was good to see his face there. The day before, how did you guys feel about Jasper and his proximity, we'll say, to Wout van Aert?
Yeah, did he close him out and shut the door on him? Did he not hold his line? There was question mark. When I was watching it,
in real time, I'm like,
I threw up my hands. Like, what is he doing? He just closed him out.
Yeah, I thought for sure when I was watching it real time, he's going to get relegated. And they go back and they start to show the replays of it. And when you looked at his position with respect to how far away from the wall that he was, it looked like it stayed pretty much the same when he was close to Wout. And then there was a point in time where Wout sat up and kind of like gave up and was like, whatever, you got upset, whatnot. And then Jasper definitely came closer to the wall, but there was nobody there when he did that.
Wout had already sat up.
When you look at it from a different angle, you look at it in slow motion and all that other stuff, it didn't seem quite as egregious. I mean, it was close. It was somewhat questionable. He did get called to the principal's office for that, but I think it was clean. And I think that he just sprinted Wout. I like that because I picked him for my fantasy team. But if fantasy team decided, I would have been throwing my hands up in the air because I'm a big Wild fanboy as well, and I wanted him to do well. And he got pinched there, and that was kind of unfortunate. So that was 2 days in a row of him not getting the result that he wanted
there at all.
No,
I saw it like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. I
still
thought
don't like it.
I thought he went too far over, but whatever. It's okay.
Okay, so to me, Jasper has like the biggest lead out guy in the world who is like, he's got Matthew Vanderpool has been leading him out, which has been amazing.
That whole
to
Alpecin
watch.
team is they're clicking right now. And
Yes.
when you've got him as the icing on the cake for your lead out train,
You've got freaking Vanderpool as
that
your
is
lead out guy.
tough to beat.
Yes. Actually, I don't know if you saw, but on the racetrack, Vanderpool got relegated yesterday.
He did, yep.
Yeah. So with like, I don't know, 600 meters to go, Vanderpool and Jasper were like in 20th. And I don't know if you saw it, but
He's just pushing people out of the way. Right?
Vanderpool just shouldered Biniam
It was
Gourmet.
Gourmet. Yeah.
He shouldered him out of the way to come through. He's
wanna
like,
go
I'm
right
coming
there."
through.
Coming through, make
He
way.
shouldered him out of the way.
Don't you know who I am?
And then he drills it. Jasper barely gets on his wheel.
Yeah.
But I mean, that lead out was the thing. And so Vanderpool gets relegated for shouldering the guy out of the way, but his sprinter doesn't get relegated.
He's like, I don't care.
That worked beautifully. He goes, I don't care if I get relegated. That's
Perfect.
fine
I'll
with
do that
me.
every single day and twice a week on Sunday.
My
So
sprinters.
yeah.
And Gourmet didn't complain.
I don't think so.
He probably said, "Hey,
So
my left blinker's on. I'm going right here."
Coming right here.
So next time we go riding with you, and we're on a bike path, are you just saying I need to stay closer to your wheel when you're like shouldering people out of the way and,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
creating all, instead of sitting back and dealing with all the riffraff, I just got to stay on your wheels.
Yes,
so
that's right.
And then when the police come and people get arrested, it was all
It was-
him. I was just
Yeah.
riding.
I'll take the blame for it.
Perfect.
Fun stages.
Yeah, so that was exciting to watch, and good on Vanderpool for like just punting on his individual glory for his team.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. That was, interestingly enough, watching the Tour de France Unchained documentary on Netflix. So they released it last year. Have you watched those, Scott? Some of them. Have you watched any of them?
I've watched the first 4 or 5 episodes of it.
I think there's 8 episodes.
Yeah.
They just get better. You gotta watch them. But one of the things that came out was that Alpecin Phoenix team. It had been around, but it was built for Vanderpool.
Yeah, sure.
He was one of the 3 guys that said, "I want to build a team. We're going to build it around me." And here they got Jasper Philipsen on the team, and Vanderpool is just giving up his own personal glory to lead him out. I love that. It just made me like Vanderpool a little bit more.
Sure.
I mean,
It's very selfless, yeah.
You got this Vanderpool Wout, like, which one do you like more? And Wout's a little more popular because he's more likable than Vanderpool. Vanderpool is a little bit more of a hothead, and that is changing in this tour just a little bit.
I wanted to get into that stage 1, and there were some pretty big names that came out saying that was childish behavior on Wout's behalf. The temper tantrum that he threw at the end of that race, like, pounding his handlebars because he got, pipped not pipped, but he got beat to the line. And
Yeah, it's his own fault.
And then I think someone said that maybe he was like throwing a water bottle or something like that. I didn't catch that. I think I read that somewhere, but he was definitely throwing a big temper tantrum after that race. And I'm like, come on, man.
I think he's mad at himself,
Probably,
but
we
it comes off bad.
He's got this great, attitude and personality that we kind of love, and he's this like this family guy, and he's tarnished it just a little bit in these first couple stages.
Part of it, he wants to get results there because who knows how long he's going to be racing the tour. I mean, his wife could go into labor and he gets yanked and he's off to the hospital and he could be done. So maybe he wants to put his stamp on it early in this race, and that's just not happening. It's not panning out for him, and he's got arguably the biggest team in the world around him, and they're not getting those results yet. So, And then there was also a big scuttlebutt too with all the people of Belgium calling for Jonas to get kicked out of the tour for like Jumbo Visma to get, obviously it's never going to happen, but kick him off the team because he's not doing enough to help out Wout.
Yeah, what was that all about? That's not his role.
It's not. But on the stage where
was that stage 1?
Victor LeMay.
Yeah.
Not stage 1, but stage
Was it
2? I don't, whichever one, where Victor Malay took that flyer and won.
Yeah, it was stage 2. You're right.
That was cool.
So yeah, that was very cool. With the 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters to go, he just says, "I've got no chance against this group." He takes this flyer and it frickin' sticks. One of the reasons it stuck is because obviously Wout wanted to win the stage, and so he wasn't trying to pull that back. Christophe Laporte had gone to the front to help Wout, but Christophe Laporte was already spent.
He was toasted.
He was already toasted. And Vingegaard was in a position where he could have taken like a 400-meter pull. He could have gone to the front, taken a 400-meter pull, and if Vingegaard had gone and done that pull, that lead out for Wout, which is what Vingegaard did for Laporte in whatever stage race that was 3 weeks ago. He did it twice for Laporte. Yep. If he'd have done that for Wout, for that in that last 1,000 meters, they would have pulled him back and Wout would have won.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go to the well to do that 400-meter lead out or that 400-meter pull. What kind of lasting effect is that going to have on him when we're talking about the big picture?
Right.
Like, how's that going to affect him when we get to the mountains? Like, would that be the smart move just to put Wout across the line first and get that stage win? Is that more important than technically, like,
Maybe not,
making your
but-
GC hopeful guy?
Yeah.
Right. So was it the right move for Vingegaard? Probably. Would it have changed team morale and team love and the atmosphere on the bus?
Yeah.
Hell yes, it would have.
Yeah, you're right there too.
Yeah.
It could have changed how they
That's,
all, and it would have made Wout go, "I am your man from here on
Yeah,
out."
thank you. Like,
Yes.
yes.
But now, Wout's just pissed.
Yes.
So there's so much drama and there's so many little idiosyncrasies that you don't think about. I mean, how much if Vingegaard had taken one 20-second pull, would that have made that much of a difference on the team bus that it could even be better? Now,
Did you see the overhead shot though? That guy had a huge lead.
he did.
He really took off.
He really took
So,
off.
I don't know.
But they missed it by they had the same time. They missed it by
like that.
meters, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's true.
And the finish line was like not
Yeah.
real clear to
Nah,
me
it was
on the
odd.
street, on the
Yeah.
road. So did they just miss? They just mistimed it.
Did they ask the sports director? Why didn't he help?
I don't know.
'Cause he probably
I
would've
think
said,
I think
"Not
Vingo's
his
been
job."
I think Vingo's been quiet about it because whatever he says will either look badly in the press or look badly on his team. So he's just kept
That's a
quiet
tough
about it.
one.
So that was Lafay that ended up pipping that.
Yeah,
That was the first win for Cofidis in
Oh my gosh.
15
Right.
years.
They've been talking
And, like,
about that
that's it.
forever.
God, my gosh.
for
I'm
them.
like, I've been watching the tour for a lot of years, and you just in the back of your head, you're like, oh, they have to have had a stage win. Like, doesn't everybody have a stage win? But no, they hadn't had a stage win in 15 years. So that was a pretty big thing. And the fact that he sent it and held it, I mean, that's a testament to this guy being somewhat special. I mean, he might be somebody. And then right after the race, you're already getting all these whispers of like Ineos is already wanting to talk to him about like signing him
Well,
on
his
to the team.
contract is up this year,
Yeah.
which also would explain the increase in race fitness because he knows his contract is up and a little bit more motivation. I'm going to have to get another contract this year. These guys are always under the threat of their contract.
Yeah.
Wherever. So
They're usually like 2 to 3 year contracts. And so
Yes.
those things turn over pretty quickly. So you always have to stay sharp.
So that could be part of it too. Is like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm going.
Yeah.
Forget
Send it.
I'm honestly surprised that Cofidis remained a sponsor for all these
years.
with no wins
Yeah.
anywhere.
It's pretty amazing.
Well,
good for them.
they got
That's
some
good.
they got some publicity in that race. This is going to lead into my next question. It's fun seeing somebody like that because you hadn't really heard his name prior to that. I mean, you've maybe seen him around, but you just like you never, especially if he's been on COVID, he's been kind of tucked away and out of the limelight. And then all of a sudden he gets a great stage win and he beats some really big names and he steps into the green jersey. How do How do you guys feel about like the team like Ineos having the deep pockets? Just like as soon as anybody has any kind of success, wanting to go out there and sign them. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's good for cycling if they're throwing money at them. But does that kind of bastardize the sport just a little bit with somebody that's just got more money than everybody else to throw at that? So that's point number one. And point number two is Ineos. Where are they? I think that they've got was it Rodriguez in 10th place in GC right now? But
that's correct. So Danny Martinez, who they thought might be the leader, no, hasn't worked out. Egan Bernal has actually hung pretty well.
Cracked today.
But today he cracked.
Yeah.
Pidcock, also a possibility.
We didn't think that he was going to be a GC guy. We thought he was going to be more of a stage hunter, and we still haven't seen him get after it. I mean, there's been a couple times where he kind of threw his name in the hat or the ring, but
got nothing.
Was it yesterday he was hanging around too, or was that just today?
It might have been yesterday. I think he was more towards the pointy end of that. But Ineos, I mean, their budget is far and away the biggest in the whole pro peloton. I'm sure Jumbo Visma is probably not too far behind them with probably UA in third, but Ineos has deep pockets and they've got really nothing going on. I mean, they don't have a sprinter out there. Their GC guy is pretty buried in there. Some of these bigger names really haven't done anything. Do you think not bringing G is a misstep? I know that they're going to send him to the Vuelta.
Yeah.
But
no, I was looking for his name when I was.
He wasn't picked. He did the Giro, and they decided early in the year that he was going to do the Giro and the Vuelta and not do the Tour, even though he took third last year.
It's probably
So does G have a chance to actually win the Vuelta? Yeah, he does.
Yeah, but there's something to be said about having G around, whether he's in contention or not.
Yeah,
he's like the guy. He's the one that they look to, and he's the leader. You know what I mean? So
he's calming force,
exactly,
and lots of experience. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not disappointed in them, and I'm not saying that I didn't kind of expect them to not really have many people in the mix, but that's kind of a disappointment for such a big team with so much money. Yeah. And then for them to automatically, like anytime anybody has any kind of a good result, they're like automatically saying, I don't know if they can approach them because it's not transfer season, but it gets out into the press, and then they're already making these statements, and people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to go race hard today just so I can get the attention of Ineos to go get that money, that contract.
What about Geraint Thomas? He's getting up there in age.
38.
This could have been his last tour if he, and
he hasn't made any noise about retiring.
He's still great.
He's great. There's not too many seasons left in his legs, though.
Yeah.
He's doing his own podcast almost every day, like every other day
he's
from
funny.
the tour, which
funny
is
guy.
He is funny, which is kind of cool because he has.
I like that.
I mean, obviously he knows everybody in the race, and so he has kind of a different perspective, and so that's been kind of interesting. So.
Are you guys expecting anything from Ineos?
No.
No, not really.
Well,
do they even have a sprinter?
No, they don't. But I mean, they have four guys that could win a stage. I mean, Rodriguez, Martinez,
Pidcock,
and Bernal. Who knows? But
no GC hope there, though. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think so. I don't think they can hang with the other guys. Bernal is now 4 minutes behind. Pidcock is 2:36 behind, and Rodriguez is 1:56.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they still have some guys within 3 minutes.
Okay. Going back to the sprinter stuff, I got some beef. With the tour.
Uh-oh.
That green jersey's terrible.
It's the wrong color.
What happened? I saw Yates in it the first day. I'm like, what team is that?
They changed it this year. They're trying to mix it up.
It doesn't stick out.
It does
like
not.
When they're
it looks like the Bora jersey.
Exactly. When they're in the group in the peloton, you can't look down and see that bright green jersey. You just can't see it. And the fact that they went to that forest green, I'm like, what are you thinking? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of scuttlebutt out there. If you go read, people are like,
old. Old guys don't like change.
Don't
change stuff.
But like, you've got the bright yellow. You had the bright red for the most aggressive. You got white with polka dots for the King of the Mountains guy. Yep. And then you're green. Green is the sprinter jersey, and you want that to stick out. And like now it's just like, where is he? It just doesn't look right.
It's not the same. Yeah.
Come on. guys can do better than
They're
that.
going to change it back. They're under pressure now.
I think
Everyone
so.
hates
That was
it.
a swing and a miss. I'm all for like change. You can throw things against the wall, but just as long as it goes back.
Phillipson has a commanding lead in that jersey at the moment. He's got 150 points, and second place is Cocard from Covidus with 84 points. So he's kind of running away with it at the moment.
He looked really strong last year and looks even stronger this year. He's got the last 3 sprint stages. He had the Champs last year to finish out the tour, and then the first 2 this year. He's won all of them. And
That's fantastic. Yep.
He did that pretty decisively. Speaking of sprinters, everybody's favorite jackal, Mark Cavendish, has been absent-ish.
Not completely
He's
absent.
there, but he's nowhere close to the tip of that. And he doesn't have the lead-out train.
He does not.
No.
He's not surfing wheels the same, and these other guys, it would appear that they're just doing what they want, and they're just kind of riding around him, or he doesn't have the legs to keep up with these younger sprinters.
I messed it up talking about it last week. I said that, Astana brought on Mark Renshaw, his lead-out guy of the last 15 years, to
where's he
like
been?
help him. He's actually not racing. He's there as the sprint director for Astana.
I saw that, yeah.
What does he say? Go. I can do that.
And so Cavendish, he can surf wheels. He can probably pull one off still, but he's been 5th, and I think 5th has been his best result. So
Not going to happen.
I know.
No, I think
everybody thinks he's gonna do it at some point.
He's just jumping from team to team, but to me, he's taken a spot of someone who should be there.
Well-
Somebody just wants him to break the Merckx record. They want him in their jersey.
What else does Astana have going for them?
I
And how
know,
else do
that's
they?
true.
I mean, their
But he's on
sponsors
his
probably love
fourth
it.
team in
Yeah.
Well, that's
4 years?
because
I
he
don't
was
know.
with Quick-Step, and then Quick-Step didn't take him to the tour last year, so he lost a whole year as he gets older. You know how much that affects us. So he didn't even get picked to do the tour last year.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I need to find a team that's going to take me to the tour. He thought he was going to go to BB Hotels, but then that team folded, and then he ended up on Astana without a sprint.
I don't not like him. You watch him in some of the sprints, and he gives up kind of quick.
Well, if he doesn't have a shot, he shuts it down.
Yeah. How many sprints have we seen won by a team that just came out of nowhere? Because you don't give up.
He doesn't have
don't
those
know.
explosive legs
I'm
that
not a
the other
sprinter.
younger guys have. And
gonna do it.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. I mean,
done.
the only chance he has is people crashing out or
No, you guys are
dropping.
wrong. He's going to do it.
It's not going to happen.
I don't really care if he does it or not, but I think he's gonna find a way. He's gonna find a way somewhere.
I want Ewan to win one. I like Caleb. Poor Caleb. How many seconds has he got?
He's got 2 seconds already.
I mean,
the 2
just-
sprint stages, he was second in both of them.
Change his name to Caleb Tuin.
Yeah. I mean, there's too many strong sprinters in there. I mean, who's he going to beat? Is he going to beat Jasper? Is he going to beat Caleb?
It just depends on
he gonna
the
be Wout?
situation.
That's tough.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's not going to happen. I hate
Nobody's
to
beating
break it to
Phillipson.
y'all.
Who's got the best lead-out guy? Phillipson.
Phillipson. And Wout was with him on the barrier and going, stroke for stroke, and then you could also see that he wasn't going to get him even before that Phillipson closed him out on the barrier. You could see that he just like, I'm not going to get him, so
Yeah.
get it.
I kind of had that feeling too.
Oh, those are fun to watch. Looking forward, what are you guys thinking? What do you think is going to happen here? Jai Hindley's looking pretty damn strong and smooth.
He's got a 45-second lead at the moment. What's he got?
Do we think that he's got some staying power to hold on to that yellow, or how soon do you think it's going to be before Mr. Vingergo just jumps in there and says, "Yeah, I'll take that from you. Thank you very much."
Well, he just has to mark him now.
Well, pretty much. Yeah.
He can just take a week off and just stay on his wheel. He doesn't have to race anymore.
There's a lot
he
of
can.
mountains left, so
But I think I said something. What kind of a time trailer is he?
I don't
Is he going
know
to lose
what
time
kinda-
there?
Yeah. Is he as good as Vingegaard?
You got to imagine he's going to have some chops on the TT bike. I mean, he should be. Yeah.
And, the yellow jersey kind of gives you wings. We've seen that before. It like ups your game a little bit, so. No, Jai Hindley will not win this tour. I think Pogačar is going to come storming back.
I tend to agree with you on that. I think that Adam Yates is going to fall into more of a super domestique role, and I think they're going to not shuffle the deck, but they're going to recalibrate everything, and then they're going to start working on chipping away. And it's probably in their best interest that they gave up that yellow jersey today so that they can focus on team and not on jerseys.
Correct.
Yeah. I really think that that's going to play well with them. Going back to Jai Hindley, though, Bora Hansgrohe was a much, much different team a couple of years ago when they had the likes of Peter Sagan, and they were just basically built around him as a sprinter. It's kind of neat to see them evolve somewhat quickly into like a team that's got a guy that's capable of winning GC or at least landing on the podium, and he's got some support, and he's got a teammate that's in the top 10 with him.
Bookman is fourth.
He's in fourth place right now. That's pretty spectacular to see how much that team has changed over the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep, it's friggin' awesome. I
so,
agree.
That said, I mean, if he's got a teammate that's right up there with him, I mean, what are you guys expecting from Bora Hansgrohe and Jai Hindley?
He just doesn't have. Look, the two class teams of this tour are Jumbo-Visma and UAE. Everybody else is kind of surfing, in my opinion. So I think it'd be great if Jai makes the podium, but he just doesn't have the strength of the team that UAE and Jumbo has. So it's gonna.
I want to rewind back to, I think it was 2020. There was this big team called Ineos that had been the SkyTrain prior to that. There was this other big team called Jumbo-Visma that had a bunch of strong superstar athletes. And then there was this little team that had some names that were all like fighting well above their weight class. And they had the likes of Tadej Pogačar that we all were talking about. This guy's got some promise and some hope. And they had a bunch of teammates that kind of had their coming of age during that season. I remember like Mark Hershey. You had who's the other American kid that's not there with him this year?
Oh yeah,
I'm drawing a blank right now. Sorry, but they had all these kids that were putting in these superstar performance after superstar performance, and like, who is this team and where are they coming from? And man, are they climbing the ranks? And all of a sudden, UAE is like, that's a household name with these some of the the best cyclists, and if not the best cyclists in the world on their team, and they came back and did really well. I'm not saying that Bora Hansgrohe is UAE of 2020, but what don't we know about this team? I'd like to do a little bit deeper dive on the depth chart of that team to see what they might have under the hood and what they could potentially pull off. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but it would be fun. It would be really neat to see another team emerge and say, hey, we found all this homegrown talent. We've developed these people, and we've made some key acquisitions, and all of a sudden we're a player.
There's a lot of teams that have stepped it up.
Oh yeah.
I think because of the Ineos Sky takeover with money. So
true.
There, one of my guys that I have is this Skelmos, who won the Tour de Suisse. Trek has stepped it up.
Yeah.
They were kind of not a joke, but for a while there, people kind of went to Trek, and like, okay.
Yeah.
But man, they got a great team. Ciccone is right up there.
Yeah.
They got Simmons, and
Simmons had a rough day today.
Juan Lopez is a great young kid.
Yeah.
Mads Pedersen, former world champion. Stuyven. I mean, that's a good team.
Yeah, Quinn Simmons. He went down only like 37 kilometers into the stage today.
Yeah.
And
I wondered.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they showed it on like the other highlights. He just crossed wheels with somebody near the back, went down, but I mean his whole shoulder was bloody and his elbow bloody and his jersey all gone.
Yeah.
He did get back on and finish the stage, but
he's like in 150th place or something like that right now. And I'm sure that he will like bounce back, and maybe next week we might see some more like fun performances from him. And he was fun to watch last year.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Just always kind of being like super aggressive and getting in the break. And it's still like, I still think about the one stage where he tried to sit on Wout's wheel and Wout just rode off of him. And he's just like, I have no words.
Well, didn't he take the polka dot in one of the tours?
I don't think he won it. I think he had it for a day or two or three, maybe. But
yeah, I don't exactly know what his role is.
on that team.
on Trek right now? Is he just an all-arounder, or is he
I think
gonna?
he's just kind of an all-arounder guy.
Yeah.
But he did tear up his Stars and Stripes jersey
did.
pretty bad today.
Yeah.
So all wrapped up in gauze, and his shoulder was hanging out, and you could see all the road rash on there. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna suck. Sleeping
rough for
tonight,
him.
being stuck to your sheets.
Oh, you know who else Ineos is missing is the American kid that went down.
Oh,
the
Magnus
same
Sheffield?
Sheffield.
Yeah. Was he
how
due
he's
to be
doing.
there this year? But that crash.
Possibly.
He's pretty young still. They might have had him skip this one and do what's the Vuelta?
Possibly.
Yeah. That's
I don't
possible.
know.
Yeah,
Poor
there's
guy.
a lot of things that are still big question marks. What else you guys got? I've thrown a bunch of things out there. What else you want to talk about?
So tomorrow, stage 6, it has our first mountaintop finish.
Okay.
So there's a possibility with more fireworks tomorrow. So the profile looks pretty rough with the Col de Aspen and the Col de Tourmalet tomorrow.
Oh, the Tourmalet.
Yeah, so the Tourmalet is tomorrow, and the Tourmalet is 17 kilometers with an average of 7.3%. Shut up.
That's wow.
So
Yeah, but when you're 145 pounds with an FTP over 400, you just float up those
that's
things.
true.
You and I would be dying.
Yeah,
But-
an hour back.
We're coming.
We're coming.
Which way they go?
What are you thinking for tomorrow? What do you think it's gonna? How's that gonna pan out, Mr. Hepler?
There'll be another battle for GC again tomorrow.
Think so, huh?
I do.
Yes, the Tourmalet is just.
and the
Everybody wants to win that.
The Tourmalet is not the end.
Nope.
There's still a big, huge descent, and then it finishes on Kambasque, whatever that is. But there's another 16-kilometer climb that it finishes on.
Sure.
Yep.
So yeah, it's gonna string out on the Tourmalet, and then there'll be a select group that tries to go towards the. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a strategist.
I don't know if anybody was gonna try to win it from the Tourmalet. How many Ks are left after the Tourmalet? Quite a few.
40.
Well, yeah. Someone might take a flyer. Tried to fly
50.
down the backside.
50 kilometers. 50 kilometers. Yeah, after the top.
Going back to those first couple stages in the Basque Country, we didn't really touch on this yet. The banditos, as they were calling them. What do you guys think about that? I mean, obviously it is what it is, but how do you keep people from throwing freaking thumbtacks onto the road? I mean,
That was terrible.
I remember them stopping, and they had camera shot of one of the riders. I can't remember who it was. Who's spinning his wheel, and there must have been 8 or 9 thumbtacks
no.
in his wheel. I was like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
That's awful.
Well, that's why I said we know that they have street sweepers come
Yeah.
through like an hour before. Like they're trying to get it
Is
clear,
somebody doing it as they go by, you think?
or
what?
just
Just
before.
before,
You
yeah.
can't stop that.
Yeah.
It's lame. It's kind of lame.
I remember that happening. I think it was like in 2012, and I remember it was like Cadell Evans when he was in his heyday, and there's a bunch of thumbtacks that people were throwing out there,
Yeah.
and he ran over a bunch of them, and it affected that stage, which I think ultimately probably affected the tour. So it's kind of crappy that people would do stupid stuff like that because it really makes things unsafe for the riders.
It does. It always makes it. You can't stop that. People don't like the crowds or the people coming through. We had something similar happen on the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder on day 4, which was the hardest day. We were going through a national forest area, and Chad Sperry marks the courses very well. So you don't have to have your computer up because his courses are marked pretty well. But
That's nice.
at every intersection, there's a sign with an arrow pointing you to go in a certain direction, and there's also a piece of confidence ribbon like 50 meters down the road, so you know.
Oh, good. That's
yes,
a good idea.
So that you know you're actually headed the right direction. Somebody just before an hour before most of the racers came through, didn't just remove the arrow signs, but place them in different locations, trying to steer people off the course.
Oh no!
So not just taking them down, and whoever did it had their own. These signs are put up with impact drivers.
Sure.
So somebody came through with their own impact driver
Oh no.
and moved the signs to try to steer people off course
Was
purposefully.
it the confidence ribbon that alerted you to the fact that somebody had done that? Someone was up to no good?
Actually, the lead motorcycle figured it out, and and directed people to go the same way. And so they had to scramble to fix the signs. And so I was 30 minutes behind the leaders. By the time I went through, I didn't even notice that anything had gone wrong. But they had to scramble for several hours to fix signs just to go in the right direction. We're in national forest with no cell signal, no roads. I mean, we're on like weird gravel kind of roads, during this race. And somebody went through and just tried to change this up. So, I mean, you're always going to have jerks.
Yeah.
There's going to be idiots
Isn't
out there.
every year at the Tour, the farmers revolt and block the road?
Well, and there's
'Cause they don't
major
want
drama at the moment in Paris.
Oh, that's true.
There is a huge, there's like, there's
Police
like,
shot some 17-year-old or something like
correct.
that.
They're having their own George Floyd moment in
there.
Paris at the moment because the police killed somebody that they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And so there's riots and protests and demonstrations going on. Now, the race doesn't get anywhere near Paris until the very last day.
Right.
But could that still affect
Impact
things?
it? Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not for another 2 weeks.
There's been a lot of other riots that have been going on over there that just aren't getting the press here for whatever reason. And
Right.
I think it goes back to like retirement age. And
Yeah.
Correct.
and
They
like
extended it without anybody's vote.
yeah, and they're just doing a few other things, and people are standing up to that. And then there's a lot of climate change activists over there who are doing a lot of stuff as well. And you might even remember them from the Tour. It was last year, or the year before, where they were like handcuffing themselves to each other in the middle of the road, and they actually had to stop the Tour, and it was like a
Same thing could
20-minute pause. Yeah,
Same thing could happen.
Yeah.
You could have protests. I mean, the Tour de France is one of the most watched sports programs, in the world. And so a protest wanting to gain some notoriety could do that.
yeah. So I
don't
still say that sucks when you're going to do something that's going to cause harm to a bike. That's one thing, but when you're talking about a rider that could potentially be, crashing out or having something go wrong with their bike when they're riding at 30, 40 miles an hour, that people die on bikes. It just happened, not too long ago. You don't want to do anything to cause that. I mean, sure, stand up for what you believe in, but don't put people's life at jeopardy. I know that this little podcast is going to be heard far and wide over there in France, and people are going to hear it and go, you know what? He's right. We shouldn't do that. But
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to us.
yeah. What else? What else is out there that you guys want to chat about? Tomorrow's stage is going to be interesting. Could be a big GC battle. When is the time trial? Do you have that pulled up? Is that kind of soon? And when is the next rest day as well?
Is there two?
Is that the 8th
There's
day?
only one time trial, and it's near the end, if I recall.
Okay.
And it's half flat, half climbing.
I like that. I do.
Yep.
Do you like the bike change thing when they hit the climb? I think that's weird.
I said this once before on the podcast. I'm going to say it again. I wish that they would just get rid of TT bikes altogether. I don't like them. I think that they're uncomfortable. I think they're a pain in the ass to work on. And they're becoming not a relic, but like less and less people are buying them. So less and less manufacturers are making them. And then the ones that they are making, they're making them so stinking expensive that half the people can't afford them. I think that a lot of cyclists, that they're unsafe for them to ride. I don't like it when people show up on a TT bike in a group ride because it's very unsafe. And more times than not, I will keep my distance unless I absolutely know this person and they have great bike handling and they're very smart and savvy, but there's still, a chance it's going to go away. I think that it would be neat if they just made everybody ride the regular bike.
Yeah,
I mean, sure,
I like
you're
that
going to go
idea.
faster, but I mean, I don't know.
Clip on some aero bars. if
That's
you want,
fine too.
Because even the manufacturer, do they want to make a $20,000 bike that gets used once maybe?
Yeah. That's the reason why I don't own
weird.
one. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go spend because they're still expensive. Even if you want to like get like a budget one, you're still spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 if it's new, and you're going to ride it how many times a year?
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to go out for a bike ride and I want to enjoy it, I don't want to go do that on a time trial bike. And
triathletes need them.
yeah, but
That's one mark for a triathlete.
but what if they just rode road bikes and used clip-on aero bars?
Yeah, the Eddie division.
There you go. Yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah. Anyway,
The next rest day isn't until Monday. So Monday is the first rest day.
wow.
So that's after stage 9. So 9 stages before the first rest day. The individual time trial is stage 16.
Okay.
So and there's only one this year. One individual time trial.
That's well
be
placed.
important.
like pushing it back and then having it be one of those flat to incline. And to answer your question about the bike change, I don't have a problem with it. Actually, I think it's smart if you're quick about it and you can get on a different bike and go faster uphill on that one, then that's kind of cool. And it just adds a little bit of a dynamic that I think is fun.
Everyone can do it.
It's not a big climb.
Oh, they might not do it for that one.
It's not a big climb. And it's only 22 kilometers long, the whole thing.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it's not very long either.
They'll probably just set it up.
13 or 14 miles. Yeah. What kind of a gradient is on or in those rollers that you're seeing there?
There's a 2.5 mile climb at 9.5%. That's pretty steep.
That's really steep on a time trial bike.
So they might switch. Yeah. It's a Cat 2 climb.
Interesting.
In the time
it doesn't
look like it on the picture.
Yeah, the elevation profile does not look like it. I'm like, oh yeah,
can't you guys see that?
Yeah, super flat. All right, well, that should be interesting. I think that I still think this is Tade's tour to lose. That's just my sneaking suspicion, and I think that he's catching a lot of people napping right now. I came out and said that I thought that he was going to try and put his big stamp on the early part of the tour. I was grossly wrong, and it was kind of interesting to see that they let Yates be that person. I still think that UA is there. With Jumbo Visma, I think that I think it's a foregone conclusion that Vingegaard is probably the strongest rider at this very moment right now. I don't know what's going to happen with their team, especially when Wout leaves to go tend to his wife and their child that's going to be born. I don't know how that's going to change. Like how much did it change the race today alone? We already talked about that.
He made a difference today.
Yeah,
by him being in the break.
Yep.
He made a difference.
He makes a difference on every single stage.
Yeah.
He is such a valuable cyclist, teammate.
Yep.
So, but Vingegaard, he's proven to be just a quiet superstar, and I still think he's kind of having not a hard time handling the limelight of this position, but it's just kind of neat to see him coming into his own, and he's got some fortitude about him. Like the kid can just go.
I love that twice already. Him and Pogačar got off the front at the top. Pogačar's leading. Flicks his elbow, looks back at Vingegaard, and he just shakes his head.
Nope.
He's just not coming around.
I want to see him smile and just say something like, cheeky to him. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. So, but I think that they're definitely out strategizing UA right now. So that's been kind of interesting to watch. But while these two big behemoths are going toe to toe and they're duking it out, you've got some other teams that are making things interesting.
Yeah,
all these other teams not named Ineos. So it's a much more fun tour, and when you don't have one person that comes in there and just from bell to bell just kind of handles it, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So and the gamesmanship, the racecraft, all of the things that they're building into this and the stories that come along, it's fantastic.
Yep. I think Tade is going to pick it up and make ground, but it was awful early for him not to be able to follow.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
And
Vingegaard is going to win, but it's a long race.
Yeah. Do you think that he wanted to go with him and maybe got some sort of directive from his team, like, no, you're going to sit up because this isn't where it's going to win?
I think that's when you take the earpiece out and go, and I didn't hear that.
What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
No, I think he would have gone with him if he could have.
Yeah. His head kind of dropped and he just looked like...
Do you think he's frustrated?
Uh-oh.
Dude, he just lost a minute to his biggest rival. Heck yeah, he's frustrated.
You can see it on him. He's kind of wearing that frustration. So, no, I don't think that his team's not telling him not to go. I think that they want to be there mixing it up. I just think that they need to recalculate how they're rolling out their game plan. So,
yeah,
they'll just keep it as tight as they can and then pick a spot. And it's like, we got to go now. It's time to go.
Here's a quick question about you guys. How are you taking in the tour? What's your daily routine? I'm just kind of curious if yours is anything like mine right now.
Mine is frustrating. I'm not setting an alarm. I'm just waking up when I wake up. I don't wake up till about 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when my body wakes up here recently. And so I wake up, I go downstairs, I turn on the Peacock app, and the stage is live at the moment, and I rewind it as far as I can, and it freaking frustrates me. Because you can't start at the beginning. Yeah. It will only rewind like 2 hours.
Let go of the mic. You're gonna break it.
I'm like gripping the mic. It's irritating.
White knuckling it over here. Yep.
Because when it was just on NBC, I could record it and then start at the beginning and then just fast forward through everything I wanted to.
That's true.
But with the Peacock app, you can't record it. You just I can only rewind like 2 hours. So, and then, you're like not looking at the screen while you're rewinding so that I can watch some of it. It'd be better if I just woke up at like 5 a.m., but sleep is also important to me, so I'm not doing that if I don't have to.
Yeah. This morning I just woke up, grabbed the remote, turned the TV on, and just spoke Tour de France into the remote. And I'll just watch it wherever it's at. Because I work a weird rotating shift, so like when I'm on day shift, I won't get to watch it. So
Lance is familiar with this metric. It's on my watch that I'm going to show him right now. That would be
your body battery.
Look at what I got up to this morning. That's all I got up to overnight.
I have that on
20. Well, yeah, I got up to 24. That was my body battery. Was what I woke up. It was 24, which is ridiculous.
Mine's 72 at the moment.
Well, you want to get up in like high 90s.
I got 8 hours of sleep last night.
I got 5.5 hours of sleep last night.
I think I have that, but I don't know how to. I'll have to figure out what that means.
Anyway,
I started at 90 today, so that means I actually slept well last night.
Yeah, I got up to 26 overnight.
Yeah, mine gives me a sleep.
So, anyway, I'll talk about that in just a moment here. What is your normal routine like, Scott, for watching the tour?
Yeah, like I say today, I just woke up and turned it on and just
wherever it's at,
I just watch it.
What time did you wake up?
6-ish.
6-ish.
Yeah,
6:30.
And it ended at like 8:30 today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
It's one of those things though. If you miss the first hour and a half or 2 hours, it's not the end of the world. I mean, there's generally not a lot of stuff that happens. You get to see the group, the select group that goes away in the breakaway that's going to get caught at such and such a time in the afternoon, generally. And sometimes it can be exciting, but it's not often.
I do very much like Christian Van de Velde on the motorcycle this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is getting good stuff.
Yeah.
And
I like him.
He's good, and all the riders will talk to him.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
And the team directors are talking with him as well.
Yes.
And just today they were talking like a little bit of a joke, a funny haha thing. He was trying to get some info. I can't remember which team it was now, but he went up and he was talking to him, and they were basically beating around the bush, not telling him what they wanted to hear, and they were paying him kudos and compliments, like, "Yeah, we like watching your Peloton videos," or something like that. Did you just catch that?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Those jackholes." He's like, "I will get the information out of him." So, but
come on,
it's funny listening to him. Like, "Oh crap, I'm like crapping my pants on these corners and like we're gonna crash." And
it's like,
there
I can't watch this.
There was a motorcycle who went down like a couple days ago. Did you see that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know that's like sitting in the back of his head. Like you can see the
do not
nervous
want this.
tension of him being on that motorcycle.
Little pucker factor.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no.
So
we're next.
I do like all those announcers and all those people
Yeah.
on the English feed.
Yeah.
There's a world feed as well, and the world feed has no commercials.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, it's different commentators. It's not Phil Liggett and Bob Roll and Christian Van de Velde and Steve Perino. It's different commentators, but there's no commercial breaks, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So
I don't mind the commercial breaks though, and I'll get into that in just a second as well. How are you guys liking Phil and Bob calling it? Good as always?
yeah, good as always.
Yeah. I feel like Bob's coming into his own. Like he was a little bit too color-esque, but over the last 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, he's done a really good job coming in, and he tells good stories, and he's got like a lot to draw from the past, and he understands things, and he's not all over the place as much, in my opinion. So I think that he's coming to his own, and Phil's Phil. I mean,
Phil's like the
everybody
straight guy.
Yeah.
And then Bob is kind of a little colorful.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
has some good stories. And
everybody loves Phil, right? And like you said, Christian Van de Velde on the bike, I think that was a good move. Even though
move.
I'm curious, like if he wanted to get out of the main studio with those guys and do that, or if he was pushed in that position. I was thinking to myself when I first saw him, like, oh, was that a downgrade, or was that something that he volunteered for, or was that them
I think that'd be
changing
fun.
things up?
That's the
To
weather's
be out
horrible.
there, to be out there with the guys. I think that
Yeah.
that
Well,
would
the
be
guys
desirable.
that replaced him with in the studio are excellent.
Yeah.
It's Brent Bookwalter who raced the tour 10 times or something.
yeah, and
you know?
Sam.
And the other guy's the
And Sam-
assistant director of
of
one of those teams.
he is assistant director on one of the teams.
Yeah.
He's not at the tour, but he knows everything because he's an assistant director,
Yeah.
and he's also done the tour a couple times.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're good studio guys to have, better than who they had before.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think so.
Yeah,
Sorry, Chris Warner.
yeah.
Anyway.
So I do like that. Generally, after I watch the tour, I wait a couple hours and then I usually go for a ride. And on my ride, I try to listen to the podcasts about that day's tour. So there's 2 different podcasts I like to listen to. One is Phil Guyman. He is doing a daily recap.
That's interesting. You told me about that, and I had no idea, which is pretty cool.
They're only like 20 minutes or 24 minutes, and he's doing it by himself. And he's like, he's basically said, "Look, I haven't watched a tour stage in years, but I'm watching it this year because I think I still know these people." He goes, "And now I'm long enough away from my pro career that I'm not as bitter as I was for not getting a contract."
Wouldn't that be hard?
Yeah, and so he's funny, and they're short. They're like 20 minutes. The Move, Lance Armstrong's podcast, also does 3 different podcasts every day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They have one with Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie.
I like George.
Which is okay. But they have a second one with Johan Bernil. And Johan Bernil knows frigging everything.
Yep.
And so they used to all be together, but now they have them separate. And I will wait and listen to the Johan Bernil one before I will listen to the other 2 guys, because Johan Bernil
he's great.
He just knows more stuff.
Yeah, I like him.
So I generally do that while I'm riding, just like on a chill ride.
Do you ever listen to The
something.
Butterfly Effect? Chris Horner?
Chris Horner, no. I'm not a super big fan of Chris Horner.
He's
Even though
like
he's
him,
a local
but
guy in Bend,
sometimes
he just started a race series.
He likes to turn it towards himself a little bit.
He does. Which,
That's okay.
He's got ideas, and he's been there, and
Yeah.
he won the Vuelta at 40 years old or something. So it's not like but all these guys have drug history too, and it always just makes you question a little bit. But on the same hand, it's been enough years that we really should just
Move on.
And be done with that. And they've all been, banned from all these things anyway. So I get it. But anyway.
Tours, the morning of, usually for me, I don't necessarily need to get up and watch it from bell to bell, because a lot of times that first 2-3 hours isn't super exciting. There's things that'll happen. And what's nice is when you do sit down, and if it is like 2 hours into it and you still have 60, 70, 80, 90 miles to go in the race, depending upon how early you jump in. If you missed anything, they're going to play it over and over and over and over and over again. You're going to see it 15 times for the rest of the race.
Summary at some point.
Exactly. So you get caught up pretty quickly, and you don't have to sit around and do all that stuff unless you really enjoy getting up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and watching it and doing all the morning things. Like most of us sitting here at the table, we like our sleep, and that can be pretty early. I know that Scott's got some crazy schedules, so sometimes maybe that's not that big of a deal for you, because that could be like your lunch break. But
I can watch it on my phone.
So generally speaking, I would normally get up and probably go down and start watching about 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 or 6:30, depending upon what's going on here. Sorry, we had phones ringing and buzzing and doing things. Anyway, so I would come down and I would just sit there and I would soak it up and love the tour. Watch the last hour or 2 of it, or hour, 2.5 hours, whatever it ends up being, drinking coffee. And I drink lots of coffee because I am getting up early. And that's why I like commercial breaks, because it's challenge accepted. Go get that taken care of before the race comes back on, and you jump back in and you didn't really miss anything. And Phil and Bob will get you caught up and you're good to go. This year has been a little bit different. I have been up every day between 5 and 5:30 in the morning.
Oh,
ooh, yeah. So I'm catching a lot of the tour, and it's I'm not setting my alarm clock. I'm just up.
That's just when you're waking up.
5 and 5:30, because yip, rough, bark. We got a new member in the family.
Jake has a new puppy running around the house who is freaking adorable.
Yeah,
she's the most adorable
I got her
dog.
early and played with both of them for a while.
Yeah, she's a little Augie. So she's half Australian Shepherd, half Corgi. And they call him an Augie. Sorry, I'm a little tired. That's my whole body battery thing is it's way drained down, and I usually have pretty good energy at this time of day. I'm like, I could take a nap right now. But my kids have been fighting over who gets to have her in her room at night, knowing that she's going to do the thing, and they still don't seem to mind, which is pretty good. But they have the crate in there. She goes to bed at night pretty decently well, but she gets up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and they take her downstairs. And we're talking about my 14-year-old, my 11-year-old are bringing her down, taking her outside so she can go to the bathroom. And then we've got this little gated crate thing that she'll jump into, and she'll hang out there. And sometimes she'll go back to bed for like a little bit, but she's been like yipping a little bit, but she's got this little tiny puppy howl that she just is like so sad. She's like, like, somebody come down with me. And then my wife's like, you want me to go? I'm like, no, I got it. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, brownie points.
Right.
But I'm like, also
watch a
tour.
tour.
And just, so I go downstairs and I immediately take her out to use the bathroom again. I go I drink my cup of water that I drink every single day. And that's part of the problem of the bathroom, because it's 24 ounces of water immediately out of the gate. And then I just start drinking my coffee, and she just nuzzles up on my lap. She curls up in a ball and falls asleep, and we just sit there and watch the tour together, which is pretty fantastic. But it's been some early mornings, and her first morning with us was the morning that the tour started. So that's going to be my routine of getting her broken of this whole howling thing.
Yes.
For 3 weeks, I'm gonna be all in on getting her trained to
She
stop
was
doing
just
that.
running around and launching at Zeke.
Oh yeah,
Boom.
yeah. She looks just like an Australian Shepherd Blue Merle, but she's got the little tiny corgi legs, which is hilarious because you just can't stop looking at her. Like,
Yeah,
you're
we
just
saw the picture and we're like, what is that?
yeah. So she's pretty cool. But
cute.
that's been my morning, and I am.
That's a good
I'm
thing.
starting to feel it right now. I'm a little tired, boys.
Your bottom battery is betraying you.
Is showing it.
My
so
wife has a friend who gets up and walks at like 4:30 in the morning every day.
I'm sorry.
And she's been getting up kind of not right at the end, but she'll wake up at like 5 something and just call her and see where she's at. So, so I hear that, and then I kind of wake up sometimes. But yeah,
Early times.
I think the tour, doesn't it come on at about 5, the tour?
About that.
3:30.
Well, that's when
3:30?
3:30.
that's when they start all the pre-race stuff. Though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the actual race itself usually starts around 5, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 8 o'clock
Yeah.
East Coast time. That's about what it starts. And then what is the time difference? What is it, like 8 hours difference?
Something like that. I
would
know
guess
that they
about
don't
that.
start till like 1 in the afternoon or something like that.
That would make some
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. So anyway.
Fun.
All right. Well, any parting shots on tour talk? Anything else that you guys want to put out there? Any like statements that you want to make?
Nope. We're all going to be proven wrong and look like Evan.
Yates is going to come back and Matt's going to be right.
That's right.
Oh, Matt.
It's going to be a great tour.
Matt, go fix your fantasy team, buddy.
Always is.
Matt,
yeah.
you're sucking.
Yeah. Mine's just so bad. And I'm like, geez, I got twice what Matt
Are
does.
you able
That's
to
crazy.
go in there and see the moves that each team has made?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably not.
Huh. Gotta go take some screen grabs of like the people that he has on his team right now and see if he makes any changes between now and whenever we talk to him again.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said you've made changes to your team.
I haven't made it.
Oh, you haven't touched
No,
it?
Scott
I made
has.
one.
One change? Gotcha.
I grabbed Wout and switched a couple around because I didn't really have a guy that was going to be near the front every day.
Gotcha.
But my team's all right.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch how it plays out. We still have to figure out what the prize is going to be.
Ooh.
And we'll figure something out on that. But if anybody is interested in joining, it's not too late, and you're probably not going to win it, but you can still enjoy the daily
still fun.
Exactly, kind of gives you a little bit more invested in it. But depending upon who you pick, and if some crazy things happen, you can find yourself getting into the mix. So you could definitely pick up some points. And, anything can happen. It's the tour. It's a tour. So, all right. Do we want to backpedal today?
There's not much to talk about. I would know, but none of us have raced. I rode my bike a little bit, but I'm in recovery mode. I did do a wonderful gravel ride on the 4th of July with Chris Hannell and John Hatfield.
How was
nice.
that?
It was fantastic.
Fantastic as usual. Any issues, any flats or anything like that?
No, zero.
Good.
No issues. Other than, that route has a 7-mile, 2,000-foot climb, which has very, very steep pitches.
Yeah, the last 3 miles of that are just like, oh my God, when's this going to end?
Where was this?
It's on Larch, Martin.
Oh,
1500?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I was really bummed to miss that because we've done that on 4th of July a few times.
We did. We talked about you and missed you.
Yeah, but I had to do something different.
Was that with the POA guys?
No.
No, it was just the three of us.
Because I was up in that area. I took my parents to the Vista House and some other places, and we stopped at Women's Forum, and there was Kylie
Washington
Hannell.
Larch.
Washington
we were
Larch.
on Washington Larch.
Yeah.
Gosh, I saw Kylie Hannell, and I think it was Maddie Wick. They had just done Larch. Because I didn't know they were going to repave that. I didn't know they were closing it.
Huh. Interesting.
Yes,
Yeah, I think
it's
it was
closed
starting
for the
today.
rest of the summer.
Yeah.
The road up to Larch Mountain, Washington,
Oregon.
Oregon side.
What about you, Scott? Have you done anything cool this past week? Any good rides or anything notable?
I rode with Stefan and Paul yesterday.
Did you do that ride?
Their urban assault.
Okay.
That was fun.
So that was the other ride that I missed out on.
Yeah.
I just Paul was telling me that he's like, I've got this like urban gravel ride coffee shop thing. I'm like, that sounds fantastic. But then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if I A, have that much time, and B, like the going and stopping and the technical stuff and the I'm like, I'm
I
so
my mountain bike,
Yeah.
which was the better. Even Paul said that's probably a better choice.
Was it?
Yeah. But we, Zhangwan, there was about 7 or 8 of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's trail. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, Paul's got a bunch of things up his sleeves, and Paul and Stefan, they know all these little secret spots, which is kind of neat. So that was my option B. I wanted to do option A. That I love going up there, and I wanted to ride with those guys. And my option B was to potentially go do that ride that you went on, and I opted for option C, which was keep it steady, flat, solo, and easy with no temptations. And
You got to get yourself right. So that's a good choice.
yeah,
So-
it is. But I'm doing all the little things. I'm doing the Pilates. I'm doing the stretching. I'm doing the foam roll. I finally got in to see the sports massage therapist this morning and did my first session with her on that. Oh my God, that hurt, but I'm hoping that's for the better. And I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, I can get things sorted out. So I want to start getting on the bike a little bit more and see if I can like build up some tolerance while I'm going through this. If it continues to get worse, I'm probably going to have to back off and take even more time off, because riding and trying to rehab at the same time sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Is it because of you have a tear? Is that why?
I have a labral tear. Or at least that's what they suspect. I still haven't had the formal MRI, but when I went in and saw the orthopedic, and he did all this testing and took his imagery, and he looked at all the things that I've done, he's like, you're presenting with what would be a classic labral tear in your hip. But it's something that would have happened. It could have happened as much as 10 years ago. And it's never been a problem until the whole kinetic chain starts to break down. When you start dealing with muscle cramps that lead to muscle strains that cause other muscles to kind of do the same. And then all of a sudden, like your joint starts to get kind of compressed a little bit. And then as we age and things get a little bit tighter, and it can just kind of create issues. And it's one of those things where the doc's like, you need to get things sorted out, or this is going to happen more frequently, and it's going to be even worse every time it happens. So, Scott, you know a little bit about this kind of stuff.
I thought I had a tear.
Yeah.
And had an x-ray, and they just said I was full of arthritis in the left hip, inflamed.
Yep.
And then I finally got an MRI, and they're like, no tear.
That's good.
Joint spacing looks great and everything. And I'm like, okay, that's good, but
Well, but what the
what
hell?
is this?
What the
This
heck, yeah.
hurts. So I did have a really weak glute on the left side. I think I've had 3 knee surgeries on the same knee, and I think I rehabbed the knee and never rehabbed the hip.
Yep.
And through all the racing and riding, it just
Knee
I was
bones connected
strong
to
in
the
certain areas,
hip
but
bone.
not in the hip area.
Yep.
And now my hip's all messed up. So
Yeah.
But when I rode yesterday, even though it was only 20 miles, it started to hurt on the climbs, but it was fine.
I knew your ass was weak.
I had a weak ass. I don't know if I can race because I can't put down a ton of power seated.
Yeah. Well,
And
when
I can't keep up with you guys.
when
I'm
you're
just out of shape.
firing though, you're a tough as hell kind of guy to keep up with. So
Well, it's emotional. It's a roller coaster because
Yes.
you ride and you feel great, and you ride again and you feel great, and then the next day it hurts.
yeah.
And I can't get in shape. I can't get fit because I can't consistently ride.
Yeah.
So it's
This
frustrating.
this harkens back to that podcast that we did not too long ago, just a
I
few
know,
weeks ago,
I
about
know.
getting old.
I should have been on
And
that one.
If there's
Come
any,
in with a walker.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys okay?
Any takeaway from that? It's like as you age, the self-care stuff that you do to your body to keep yourself fit and tune is immeasurable. And a lot of times you don't learn these things until after the fact. So do the things that you need to do the preventative things, be smart about what you're doing, seek advice, seek coaching, seek medical assistance, do whatever you've got to do to
Some
keep
sort
yourself
of cross training.
Yeah.
Don't just ride because you'll pay for it after a while.
Yeah, things will start to break down, and I'm living proof of that right now. And I'm trying to change my ways. I'm trying to change things so that I can have some time, some future to be competitive here. And I still think I got some stuff under the hood. I just need to get some things sorted out. And it sucks because all of this stuff started to break down again after I thought I had it all kind of sorted out for the most part. And another leg cramping issue in a race, and next thing you know, it all just falls apart. It's a house of cards there, and I'm going to do things even more differently this time. So anyway,
I'm 56 now too.
You're
And
56.
I don't feel.
No, you don't look it either.
But from
No,
the
you
neck
look
up doesn't count. It's the neck down that really starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
So I started late. So I really want to race because I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I Yeah.
Like you don't want to just go out there just to like go through the motions and support promoters and be
at the pointy end.
And we can
I think
do
Scott
that.
beat me at every single race last year that we raced against each other.
Really?
That wasn't that long ago.
I could block out the pain during the race, but then
Correct.
I was just barely walking at the end.
Yeah.
And then I would have a couple days off, and then I'd ride, and I'd feel okay, and I'd sign up for another race.
Right.
It's like, how dumb am I? But yeah, I love to race, so it's life. Whatever.
Do the self-care stuff, folks.
I know.
Gotcha. All right, let's jump into one last thing. Do you want to do one last thing for Matt Legrand? he did put out a video about the Zwift portals.
Oh, the portal climbs.
Yeah.
They had all these French portal climbs that they did.
Did you watch this video?
I did not.
Okay, have you seen this whole French
All I've seen
climb
is that
portal?
there's a lack of graphics.
Lame.
Yeah, it's they kind of mailed it in, it seems like.
Dude, it's Matt likened it to the Mario Kart, the Rainbow World. It's like that, but like way worse in terms of that. I'm like, that's you missed out. I mean, if nothing else, don't do the freaking rainbow lands and all that other stuff. Just make it look like RGT, where it's all just like, whatever generic, and then like build it out as you go. I'm hoping that they go that direction because it looks pretty dumb. I mean, it's kind of cool to say, yeah, I followed the exact gradient of said climb, and if you're training for going to do that right, that's fantastic. But it's like, come on, man,
It's not the same.
He did another video too. I don't remember, but I don't know. Matt's take on it was pretty funny. I don't know. He's adding a little bit more character. The Matt Legrand that we know is coming out a little bit more in some of these videos, which makes
He's
it
so funny.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you see his videos and you're just kind of like,
you're waiting for
you're
like,
something
you're like
to be
damn it,
funny.
I know
He's
Matt,
so-
and
he's
I
hilarious.
Yeah. and he's starting to have a little bit of his personality come out, and he's finally and I love it. And I think he's heard it from a few other people. Like you should like incorporate a little bit more of that in there because people would enjoy that. And I've told that to him a few times as well. And I think he was just carefully trying to do these so that he was trying to appeal to a broader audience. But even if he's just being himself and being the normal witty self, that's going to appeal to that audience. And then his other thing was, well, it's sometimes tough when it's just you and it's the camera and you're trying to get through these things and you just don't know how it's going to like bounce off of people. I'm like, dude, just be you. And he's doing that. And I'm not saying it's because I told him, but I think he's just playing with it. And I think he's getting good response for it. So good job,
like Johnson does the backwards hat.
Yes,
guy. He
backward
cuts
hat. Exactly.
He could do that in a heartbeat. That would be so hilarious.
Yeah, it would be.
So
yeah, he put out another video on his Tour de France podium predictions.
Picks, that's what it was. I almost chimed in on that, but I'm like, yeah, I don't have time. Ain't nobody got time for that. But we should chime in there and say, go check out Matt's Fantasy League. He's doing fantastic.
Yes. He's picked Alaphilippe for the overall and Uno X to win the team battle.
Still has Chris Froome on his roster. Yep. All right, one last thing, Lance. Go.
A shout out to my wife. She actually said, "Hey, honey, I want to go ride bikes this afternoon," and so we took our gravel bikes out to the Washougal Dike and went for a little ride.
How was that?
It was fantastic.
She happy to be back on the bike?
She was, yeah. So it was very nice. And then my daughter and Julie get married 2 weeks from today. So yeah, that's rolling up fast here.
Interesting. That came up awfully fast, but that's pretty cool stuff.
That's
so
pretty
cool. Scott, you've listened to this podcast before, and I think you've been on here before. One last thing. You get to talk about one. It can be anything. Anything at all.
It's just trying to ride,
Yeah.
hanging out with you guys. I miss you guys, actually.
Yeah.
That's another thing when I can't ride. I miss you guys.
Yeah.
And just having a nice summer and going to Maui in a week and a half.
You're not going back to Disneyland?
We were going to Santa Cruz, which is my favorite thing, to take a mountain bike down there and go to Wilder Ranch and all this stuff and ride all over. And my wife is so good at making plans. She could be a travel agent.
Sure.
And she just found our old condo we stayed at before. It was really cheap, and then she found a cheap flight. And then she's like,
Connect
so
all
we
the dots,
just sat down one day and we're going back to
Going to Maui instead.
do some snorkeling. Yeah,
Love it.
And I'll miss your daughter's wedding, which that was neat. You invited me.
Yeah. Scott, I don't think I know another person, at least from the Pacific Northwest, maybe down in California, who have the annual passes, but I don't know a single person that goes to Disneyland more than you. Every time I turn around, like I'll see a social media post, I'm like, oh, he's back at Disneyland again.
Yeah.
How many times do you generally go to Disneyland
We go
a year?
every year for the last 34 years, sometimes twice. We bought an annual pass, and my wife went 5 times last year, and I went 3 or 4. But it's just fun. We just like it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have friends that we go with, and we know a couple of the people that work there, so we say hi to them, and it's just kind of a
that's awesome.
little more relaxed now. We used to really be crazy to ride all the rides, and now we're just kind of like, I've ridden that roller coaster about 500 times now, so I can just relax.
Or do something different. Yeah. We used to have annual passes when we lived down there, and it was kind of fun just to get off work and you go over there and you have dinner, ride a couple rides, walk around, watch a show, and then you leave. You're there for 2 or 3 hours and moving on.
And we do rope drop 8 a.m. until they close at 11.
Wow, that's nuts.
Thank goodness the hip doesn't hurt when I walk.
My one last thing, I don't really have any one last things other than I need some sleep. This whole 5 stages, 5 nights of bad sleep, 5 nights of getting up super early with a puppy, that's starting to wear on me. But
I should stop texting you at 11 o'clock at night.
What are you doing?
Actually, all I do is send him like fart memes. That's not much texting. Look at this TikTok. I gotta
We'll block you.
We do share some or send some pretty funny TikToks and reels and whatnot about funny, inappropriate things, but a bunch of grown men going on grade school age. So good times. But keep watching the tour, man. Yep. Let us know who your picks are. Give us some feedback. Let us know where we're right and what might happen, and it'd be kind of fun to talk about that. And then the other, I guess this could be the show's one last thing is we need to set up a date that we're going to do our live stream. So when Matt gets back into town, we'll have him come in and join us. We'll try and coordinate that around a time where Evan can come in and join us. And maybe if Evan's not available, Scott, would you want to come back and do a live?
Sure, that's fun.
Those are a blast. So.
Yeah, we'll meet at like 6 a.m. here. And watch and record while we watch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
We're going to try to do that.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
So keep an ear out for that. We'll definitely keep you posted. And there might be some multiple podcasts per week, and they won't be the normal long length, or they could be short. Maybe they will be long. Who knows? But keep an ear out for those. We'll be posting some of those coming up soon.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, boys?
That's it.
All right. Thanks.
Wrap it up.
For joining us for another podcast. We will be back next week, if not sooner, with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.